Hey everyone, it's Marcus, the author of Unbroken, Walking on New Ground. If you look up my book on Amazon, you're going to see it's actually underneath my birth name, Mark Kiker. I metamorphosed into a Marcus through a chain of events, and I'll get into that later. Right now, I just wanted to shoot a quick video about my perceptions on being a first-time author and the fact that you can do it. When I started to write the book, I actually moved to a new city and started up at a new gym, made friends and acquaintances, and people always want to know, not what's in your heart, but what do you do? That's like the thing, like, hey, what's your favorite thing? And no, what do you do? And so I would tell people, well, I'm working on writing a book, and they would look at me very like cross-eyed, like, what? So I guess in writing the book, I learned that I don't look like a guy that writes books because everyone was like sideways looking at me, so I'll maybe have to look like a Stephen King or something. Along that road of writing the book and talking to people, I heard a few rebuttals that were common, and I heard them a lot. The first was, I should write a book, or I've always wanted to write a book, or I started to write a book and never finished it. And I didn't hear a lot of people say, oh, I wrote a book too. And I think those responses to me starting to write a book, inspired me and encouraged me to be someone that actually finished writing the book. And I found that to be an interesting occurrence within it. And before I go any further into this video, I would like to send a big shout out to my awesome, most incredibly great sister, Diane. Thank you very much for your encouragement in writing the book. I want to go into little detail of what was the catalyst to get the book going. In the past videos, I've mentioned that, it was people, conscientious individuals that heard my life story that said, oh, wow, you should write a book. I heard that so many times, I figured maybe I should write a book. Unfortunately, I got caught up into a codependent relationship. I know a lot of us have been there before, with a narcissist, and it was killing me. And I mean that emotionally, spiritually, mentally, financially, everything. It was just really destroying me. And in the process of going through the yo-yo spin, right? Go away, come back, I love you, I don't, but the whole 9 yards, I was really at a breaking point. And it was talking with my sister, Diane, love you, Sister Diane, who was like, you need to channel this negative energy and start finally writing the book. And that's what I did. I actually wrote a chapter about what it was like to be in a relationship with a narcissist. And I know that some of us, when we get out of a relationship, can label the last, like whatever they are. Trust me, while I was writing the book, I was in deep therapy to get through the book with a therapist, with a life coach, with you name it, and they diagnosed her, not me. And then I realized, but I stuck in it, so no one to blame but me. I chose to continue to engage in a negative relationship, but I allowed that also to be a catalyst for me writing this book. And it's very in line with what's in the book, because could have been a lot of times in my life that I succumbed to the challenges and the difficulty that I was faced. I was paralyzed and diagnosed to never walk again. Regaining my mobility was not an easy process. And the book came out of that. So, a lot of times we can take a negative and turn it into a positive. And I allowed that negative to turn into a positive. Even halfway through the book, I lost my editor, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Like, if this process isn't difficult enough, now I've lost my editor. And I was, I was kind of, on a little torquing jig over that one, going, geez, what's next? But it was interesting because, once again, right in line with Unbroken, walking on new ground, I took that perceived negative and said, all right, well, I'll just use ChatGPT and AI. And it made my book, I believe, a much better book, especially once I learned how to prompt AI for what I wanted out of it. So the writing the book was very cathartic. It was oftentimes very challenging because there's some dark days I had to go into the crevices of my brain to pick out to make this book read worthy. And when I was sitting there writing those moments in my life, great sorrow came over me that I actually, because I don't really think about the most difficult times. I keep a positive attitude, look towards the future, look at the blessings, and when I stop to actually put pen and paper and write down those memories, it was difficult. Very, very difficult. And this is difficult to admit, but as a man, I had found myself in the living room, hands, face in hands, on knees, crying, because I felt it. I felt the pain and the suffering that I went through. And at that point, I just had to leave that story alone, let it sit. And for the next days or week or even maybe 2 weeks, move on to another story and then return to it. So, anytime we can take a negative and turn it into a positive is an opportunity for growth. And I think you'll find that in this book. A lot of great quotes. I start all the stories with a quote from a great mind and often interject quotes in the middle of the story and finish the story with great quotes to keep you involved, the reader involved. And, I set out to do it. A lot of people have written books and some people have started and they didn't finish it. Now, and if you're one of those people, I'd like to encourage you to just sit down every day and write that book. Because whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. But you know what? You can do it for sure. For sure. I did it and I feel great about it. It was challenging because as a first-time author, I'm not a celebrity. I'm not someone famous. So the really good publishing houses don't take first-time authors. And then the pay-to-play, the really good ones that actually do what they say they're going to do charge an enormous amount of money. I spent 2 years of my life writing the book, and I just didn't feel that it was it's a good idea for me to then invest a bunch of money that I might not ever recoup. I like Amazon. I like the platform. I appreciate the fact that, worldwide access to my book. But if you go that self-publishing route, and this is what you have to do. You're going to have to promote the book some way, somehow. And that's why I'm making the videos. I did not write this book to make money. I have all, the Kindle and the hardback and the soft copy priced as low as possible. I make maybe 35 cents a book, and I'm okay with that. I didn't write the book. I wrote the book because so many people encouraged me to write the book. And then once the book was written, people said you should really publish it because they felt there's a lot of people who may be going through struggles or challenges could use what I've shared in the book to help them get through it. And I'm not doing this to make money. I'm doing this to help people out there. And I hope that, people who might be struggling can reach out, read the book, and get something positive out of it and make their circumstances better by pure thought. So if you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you really enjoyed it, share it and follow. I'm going to have another 30 days of videos coming out around the book. I might talk about the relationship with the narcissist and what I learned from it and the red flags. And the most important one is don't turn red flags pink when you see it. And when someone shows you who they are, believe it. I wrote a chapter about it, but I chose not to put it in Unbroken just because I didn't want to put that energy into this book. Maybe a different book, but not this one. So, I appreciate you watching the video in full. Share it if you liked it. And until next time, take care and may you be well.